A very good morning to my dear class 9 IT students. But we were reading chapter number 5, the green skills, and today we'll be continuing with the session number 4. And the name of the session is Natural Resource Conservation. So what is natural resource conservation? It is the protection, preservation, restoring and the rational use of all the natural resources in the total environment are collectively called natural resource conservation. So whatever are the natural resources available to them, we must protect them, we must try to conserve them, we must use them in a proper way so that they are available for the future generation also. So we need to conserve them, so that is known as natural resource conservation. Okay, so actually the term the natural resource conservation, it focuses on how it affects the quality of the life of the individuals. Okay, so they are very important for the survival for the of the human beings, because they are one of the fundamental things that are required for the basic survival of the human beings. Like human being is dependent on environment for the clothing, for food and shelter. So somewhere we are getting these basic needs fulfilled through the environment only. We are dependent upon the natural resources only, so they should be used in a very significant way. Okay, so let us study now different ways that we can use to conserve the natural resources. So first point is that we should plant more and more trees to prevent the soil erosion. Okay, next is we should be dependent upon the solar energy, wind energy and the other alternative sources of energy. Okay, because they are the renewable sources of energy, so we must be dependent upon these. Next is the rain water should be harvested, as we know that water will be going to be ending up within few years, so we must start conserving the water, mainly the rainwater. Okay, then we must use the biofuels, right? Then the wastes should be recycled and reuse. We should use the concept of reduce, reuse and recycle. Okay, so that we may minimize the wastes. Fine. Next is the use of the digital media to instead of the paper. Like we are moving towards a digital India, where we are shifting ourselves from the books to the e-learning formats. So we must focus on that and we must take advantage of it. Okay, next is the use of energy saving fluorescent bulbs. Like the previous tungsten filament bulbs, they wasted a lot of energy. Instead of, we must go with the LEDs, okay, that will not cause any pollution to the environment otherwise, right? Next is we must use the practice of crop rotation. Okay, this we have read in SS or in science chapters also. What is crop rotation? We all know that. Next is the use of drip irrigation. What is drip irrigation? I have written it here for you. That is a micro irrigation system that allows water to drip slowly into the root of the plants. We are not giving water to the plants, instead we are supplying the water to the roots of the plants by this method. So what is the advantage of it? That the water will directly reach to the roots and it will minimize the evaporation of the water. So in this way we can reduce the requirement of the water and we can conserve the water also. Okay, so this is a technique which is being used nowadays, drip irrigation. Okay, next is the use of hybrid cars instead of the conventional cars. Like hybrid cars, actually these types of vehicles which are based on this hybrid technology, they use two or more distinct types of powers. Like you can see this example, like submarines we are using, when we are using it, okay, it is working on the diesel, but when we are using them on the surface, okay, then the batteries will be used at that time. So once we can say with the fuel, the diesel is being used, Okay, and when they are surfaced, means when they are working or running on the surfaces, they are running on the batteries. Okay, so next is your the use of biogas in the kitchen. Okay, so that is also a very good way to conserve and be dependent on the natural resources. Next is the industrial waste and the sewage treatment. It should be taken up very seriously, because of these, the industrial waste disposal problem, the the water pollution is spreading up at a very high speed. So these problems should be taken care of if someone is opening up an industrial unit, right. Next is, see, India is on the third number if we talk about to generate the electricity from the renewable resources, and China is the you know is producing the most of the electricity from the renewable sources only. Okay, next is the environmental protection and the conservation. So we must put efforts to conserve our environment and to protect our environment. So it is a responsibility of the individual first, government and the non-government organization to work in this direction to conserve our environment, so that we may survive a healthier life and the future generation may also lead to the healthy life. Okay, so for that the environmental awareness has to be increased. Fine. So for the conservation of the environment, various programs like public awareness, conservation of forests, public campaigns should be launched up, environmental and the cultural heritage protection programs should be launched up. So there are many environmental issues like air pollution, water pollution, the waste, solid waste management should be taken care of, the radioactive wastes like the greenhouse effect, this type of problem, global warming problem, ozone depletion problem. So they are the major environmental issues that should be taken care of. Okay, so it is necessary to save the environment from various kinds of pollution. So for that we must educate the people about these problems, and everyone must contribute to save the environment. And one of the most important and easy solution that can help us to save the environment is the 3 R's, like it is the reduce, reuse and recycle. So before we start up these 3 R's, we must take up this quick quiz question. Which of the following factor is behind the increase of the temperature of the earth and also causes the climatic changes? Okay, so for this the right answer would be the global warming. Okay, it should be global warming. By mistake it has been ticked here D. You should mark it global warming because it is causing the increase in the temperature. Okay, so answer is global warming. Fine. So next is your the 3R concept, that is to minimize the use of the natural resources as much as we can, and we must stop using the plastic bags because they cannot be disposed of easily. We must carry a cloth bag from our home before we go to the shopping. Okay, then next is reuse. How we can reuse? Like many plastic items we can reuse. Our old clothes we can reuse for making various household things, and like in offices when the papers are used to take printout, so for that purpose in official documents only one side of the paper is used and the other side of the paper remains blank. So we can reuse that blank side, because to create that paper the wood is required, trees are to be cut down. So in this way we can reduce the extent of use, means that paper usage. So it's a very good idea. We must reuse the paper. You must reuse the back side of the paper if it is blank. Okay, next is recycle. So recycle will also help you to conserve the environment. How? Like we can segregate the wet and the dry waste, okay, and we can make compost from that wet waste, and that can be helpful to the farmers. Even if you are doing gardening at your home, you can use that compost to, as a manure to grow up your plants in a better condition. Okay, so there are few major environmental conventions, or we can say the conferences or the summits, that are dealing up or highlighting up the environmental issues. They are the Ram Sagar Convention, okay, this Vienna Convention, the Rio Earth Summit, the Kyoto Protocol, Paris Agreement. So there are many conferences or summits that are focusing on the environmental issues, just to create the awareness among the people, so that they may also start contributing to save the environment. So let us write the answers of these assess yourself fill-ups or MCQs. We can say dash includes air, water, plants, animals and other living and non-living things. So that is environment. Okay, next is dash leads to an unhealthy environment that badly influences the life of human, that is pollution. Okay, I hope you have marked these answers in your book also. Next is session number 6, the green economy and the sustainable development. So we have discussed this topic, or the definition of this topic, in the first lecture. Economy, we know what is economy. Economy, actually it is the use of the minimum money, time and other resources that are needed to achieve something, so that nothing is wasted. Okay, so when we talk about the green economy, means we want to increase the per capita income, we want to strengthen up our economy of the country, and that too with the environmental friendly way. Okay, so if we are setting up the industries, we will set up the industries in such a way that they are not causing any pollution to our environment. So we must think of that, how we may add on into the economy, but we may not add on into the the environmental problems, right? So green economy is defined as the sustainable economy that improves the human beings and the social equity, and also supports the environment and the ecological system. So basically it is trying to fill up the gap between the sustainable development and the unbalanced resources. So because of the unbalanced resource utilization, there has been a gap in between the growth and the environment. So that gap has to be filled up, and that will be filled up only when we are dealing with the green economy. Means we are growing, and side by side we are keeping a check that that environment situation is also flourishing. Okay, so we have to maintain the environmental growth also along with the economy, then only we can say the green economy. Okay, so in other words, how we can define the green economy? Green economy is the economy that results in the growth and development of the social well-being. Okay, the growth of human beings is going on along with the environmental factors, safety factors or parameters we are taking care of, so that the environment is also not suffering because of the human development. Because example I can take, like in when we are establishing industries, we are cutting down trees, so we should think of it like how we can reduce the cutting down of trees, and still we are able to manage the factories, like the wastes that is coming out of the factories. If you are disposing, like chemicals are being disposed of in the rivers which are meant for the drinking water, so if you are doing like this, you are producing things in your industries, you are growing economically, but you are polluting the environment. So this concept should be taken care of. The disposal of the waste should not be done in the clean water in the rivers, rather it should be done in that area which is not to be used by the human beings. Like the water should be disposed of in those rivers that are not meant for drinking water, right? So we must take care of these things. So green skills are very important for the green economy. So green skills, how we can define the green skills? Green skills are the skills, abilities, knowledge or attitudes that are needed in the manpower to support the economic, social and environmental outcomes in the business industry. So we have to think in such a way, we have to use our skills in such a way that they are environment friendly. Okay, so we know how to produce this particular product, so along with it we must think of that how we can take care of the environment along with. Okay, so if we are not taking care of the environment along with our growth, then we are not having green skills, we are just having skills. If we have green skills, then we will take care of the environment as well, right? So green economy will give you the sustainable and boosting economy, environment and the social welfare. Okay, so green economy involves few major components. First is your renewable energy. See, green economy, we can say the green economy when we are dependent upon the renewable sources of energy, because they are very means they cause very less pollution, so they are always environment friendly. So if we are working on such projects that are based on the renewable sources of energy, they will definitely be environment friendly, and in that case we are working with our green skills and we will lead to a green economy, right? So next is green buildings. If the buildings they are not causing damage to the environment when they are being constructed, so such buildings, they are known as green buildings. Like we can read it from the book also, the buildings that have caused less damage to the environment while being constructed are called green buildings. Okay, so if you have used natural resources while the construction of these buildings, then only it will be possible. Next is well managed transport. So if you are working with the transport that are helping the people to move from one place to another quickly, and also they are causing very less damage to the environment, then definitely it's a very good source, or we can say the sustainable transport. Okay, next is the water management. See, we know that we cannot create water, but what we can do, we can conserve water, we can recycle it, and rather we should try not to waste it. Okay, that is what the water management is. Next is the waste management. Okay, so any kind of waste, like it is a water waste, land means whatever the waste, the products waste, so we need to work upon that 3R formula. So in order to manage that waste that can otherwise be causing pollution, so using the concept of 3Rs like reduce, reuse and recycle, we can manage the waste and we can lead to the better environment settlements. Next is your land management. Land should be used in such a way that it should fulfill the requirements of all the people without affecting the environment. Okay, like if you are doing cutting down of trees, you are cutting down of trees to make the people home available for them, so you are not doing land management. You should do it in such a way that environment is not being affected. Okay, like nowadays flat system is very popular, so that is how we can manage the land, and without cutting down of trees we are providing solution to many people homage, right? Next is the principles of sustainable development. First is the respect and care for all forms of life. Okay, if you want to grow sustainably, then first principle is respect and care for all forms of life. Second is focus on the human development. Okay, see, humans, if they will grow, definitely the economy will also grow. Next is the protection and conservation of the natural resources. If the natural resources are available, definitely the growth of the country or the economy will be good. Increase the environmental awareness, because if the environmental awareness has not been there in the people, then definitely the environment will suffer, and that effect of environment will be there on the human beings also. Okay, so we need to take care of these principles, then only it will be the sustainable development. So last topic of today's session is session number 7, importance of green economy. So the development experts and the World Bank, they have learned that if we want to succeed in ending up the poverty and we want to concentrate on growth, then sustainable development has to be significant, and we have already seen the 4 principles that we must take care for the sustainable development. Okay, so the most critical areas to achieve green economy are responsible resource management, access to the energy, and good governance. Okay, so if we manage the resources carefully, if we generate more and more energy resources, and government is also cooperating, then definitely it will lead to a green economy. The vital roles played by the green economy are: it makes the life of the human beings better, it can balance, it can create balance of the environment. Okay, and it may lead or it may increase to the resource efficiency. Okay, so here we are with the end of the chapter, and this is a very important fact you must take care of, you must keep it in your mind. 5th June is celebrated as the World Environment Day since 1974. Okay, so here we have ended up this chapter, and do complete the notes of this chapter in your fair notebook and learn it also, and be ready for the test of the same. Thank you so much, beta.